Look, the horror of anti-Semitism is one of the great horrors of human history. It didn't exist suddenly in 1933 and vanish in 1945. 2,000 years of pogroms, of expulsions, of blood libel, culminating in the Shoah with the industrialised extermination attempted of the entire Jewish people, and decades ever since continued anti-Semitism. There is a minority on the left who exhibit anti-Semitic attitudes, and there needs to be a ceaseless and uncompromising war to turf them out. There is no point. I mean, the very DNA, the very mission of the left, of the Labour Party, of socialism, is an uncompromising war against all forms of bigotry, exploitation and oppression. By definition, anybody who exhibits racism and anti-Semitism has forfeited the right to be on the left. And I have to say just quickly, that's why it's so welcome that Jeremy Corbyn issued that statement earlier in the week, probably the most uncompromising statement against anti-Semitism issued by any Labour leader, calling himself a militant opponent of anti-Semitism, talking about the subtleties, the tropes of anti-Semitism. Anti-racism was one of their defining causes. In the 1980s, they were portrayed as the loony left, politically correct, shutting down free speech because of their anti-racism.
What has that got to do with the anti-Semitism argument?
It's to do with the fact that there's an attempt to link the minority, the despicable minority, who will be drummed out of the Labour movement and the left, the anti-Semites, the bigots, who have nothing to do with socialism, to link that to the Labour leadership. You know what's happening. You know what that front page splash is all about. I'll give you an example. That Sunday Times splash, because you were leading on it the last hour. I did watch, by the way. And
I'm not disputing what may have been done earlier. What I'm saying to you is, isn't the story of the Sunday Times, presumably if the Sunday Times had found any evidence that linked an individual to it, they would have gone on that.
No,
they didn't find that.
What they did is went on Facebook groups with tens of thousands of members, with hundreds of thousands of posts, millions probably of comments cumulatively, found despicable racist and anti-Semitic comments, then tried to link that to the fact that there were people within the leader's office who are the most committed anti-racists I've probably ever met. Look, I've got an example here, just to show how these splashes work. This so-called journalism, okay? Where's your camera? This is Conservatives Against the EU. It's a Facebook group. It is full of the most despicable racism I've ever seen.
Presumably the Conservative Party would reject it.
About Gina Miller, for example, F off you foreigner, telling them to go back to your homeland.
Fine.
The most despicable racism. You're not making that. Why isn't that? Why is that?
Because presumably Labour is the story at the moment. But why is they not able to change the narrative?
That's the point, isn't it?
What do you think Jeremy Corbyn now has to do to change the marriage? Just briefly.
No, just quickly on that.
Briefly, if you will.
No, well, there has to be the implementation of the Chakrabarti report and to root out any member. That's what the leadership have said, but I'm not going to take lessons from supporters of the Conservative Party's Foreign Secretary says things like pickaninnies with watermelon smiles about black people, who says about gay people that we have...
We're not doing an interview about Boris Johnson.
No,
but you're not
going to focus on that. Look, the amount of abuse the likes of Diane Abbott, a lifelong anti-racist, one of the most senior members of Labour's leadership, she got more than half of all online abuse during the election of any MP, often from Tory supporters and Tory members. There's no story about that. I get called every single day online a faggot by, for example, Tory supporters.
We're going to leave it there because there's obviously a lot we could talk about in terms of abuse, both online and in the media. Thank you very much for being with us.
We will make America great again.